What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I don't even know why I said that because this video is not supposed to have any kind of intro, y'all. This is the second episode of Stand on Your Business, and the whole point of this was to provide a platform or space for me and you to engage with each other, right? As honestly as possible, right? I wanted to create something on this channel that, one, allowed us to get to know each other, but two, allowed us to have a real discourse, a real free space to just talk. I wanted to express my thoughts, and I really want to get your all's thoughts on just the world right now. And sometimes that can be difficult because it does seem like when we look around, everything is really hard and bad and sad. And it's like, who wants to spend their time, especially the hard-earned free time that we barely get nowadays, talking about sad things? So I'm trying not to focus on just one particular subject. Like last week, and this is actually funny to me, we spoke on the word illegals. Like that was the subject matter. And it's funny because after I posted the video, I swear it was, not even a day, maybe two. Over the course of 2 to 3 days, we lost like 9 to 10 subscribers. And I want to start off by saying this. I truly do not care if we lose subscribers because you don't care for the content. And I'm not saying that from like an egotistical perspective. Obviously, like I enjoy everybody who clicks subscribe, and I would like people to stay. But like if I'm uploading games and you don't enjoy the content, I want you to unsubscribe. I don't want you obviously to keep subscribed. Don't be subscribed to a person that you don't enjoy. I wouldn't stay subscribed to somebody that I don't enjoy watching. So that did not bother me. What was funny to me though was that they didn't unsubscribe because of the videos. At least I don't think they unsubscribed because of the videos we were uploading that related to games. I think it was because of the video about the word illegals. And that was so interesting to me because in my head, I was like, the whole point of that video was that it feels like we don't have a lot of spaces to just freely talk anymore. All these platforms out here where everybody can express themselves, and the moment you truly express yourself and it differentiates between you and another, then you just want to distance yourself from that. And that just feels like such a problem. I'm after dialogue, but like truthful dialogue. And I want to be clear in that I don't mind being wrong. And I also don't mind being disagreed with. So if you feel like I'm saying something that you take to heart or that you feel that is like wrong, then please, rather than unsubscribe, say it. So I just thought it was funny that we lost people based off a video, assumedly, that was really just an open invitation to, hey, let's sit down and just have a conversation. Like, what's wrong with this word? Now, I will say that we did have 2 individuals comment on that video. And I'm not going to go into too deep a detail because I don't want this whole video to be taken up on our last video. One individual said you stood on business, and I still don't really understand that comment. I do appreciate the comment. Like, let's be clear there. I do appreciate you taking the time to leave a comment, but I would like to challenge you next time to actually leave your opinion as well. I would like to hear what you think about the word illegal, whether you agree or disagree. And that way I can actually interact in the comment section with you, and we can continue to poke and prod and just like I said, get to know each other, how you think and how I think. Also, my brother was the other person that left the comment, and I appreciated his feedback as well because he did get me to reconsider some of what I thought about the word, and which is also really great, right? Because you don't need to change your whole viewpoint just because somebody provides you with new information. You don't have to go like, oh, they're completely right, and I'm going to jump on this side. It's okay to take pieces and go like, okay, I'm now refining what I thought about this thing because I was provided additional information. And for my brother's part, he contexted it. I don't know. That's not a word, is it? I think I just made that up. Contexted it. He put it in the context of, although illegal does describe the situation and could be aptly applied to the individual, it is offensive and hurtful because groups have co-opted it to mean something more than just you broke the law. They're using it in a way to hurt people, to denigrate people, to diminish them. And he even said that it's on the level of calling somebody a nigga or adding the ER to it, which I disagree with on that line. Like, that's where I'm like, I don't know if it's on the same level of calling somebody that, right? Because there's history to go back to why that word is bad. Like, it's not just a word. There was stuff behind the word that made it bad. But I do understand what he meant in saying, when you say that to somebody, you're not telling them that they broke the law or that, hey, what you're doing is not the right way to go about it. You're really saying you don't deserve to be here. You're really saying you are less than a human being. You're something that should be looked down upon. And when you put the word in that context, then I agree that word should not be used, because I don't think anybody has a claim to any land to be like, you don't, one, belong here, and two, are less than anybody else. I've always hated when people look down on other races. And this is definitely a video we should do one day, because I've always felt that there's been a universal hate towards certain groups. And it's really bad when other minority groups look down upon other minority groups. And I've ran into this in my own life where I've spoken to individuals. I'll give you an example from my personal life. I can remember when I was probably 21, and we were, me and a group of people were sitting in an office, and I think we were cleaning it up or we were doing something. And at some point it had gotten on the discussion of dating. And I can remember one of the individuals there, I believe she was either half Asian and half white, or half Asian and half black. And just randomly out of nowhere, she had turned to me and she was like, I mean, like, if I brought you home to my parents, they would flip shit. They would, I couldn't do it. My parents would be so disappointed if I brought you home. And I can remember at the time I laughed at it. I was like, haha, yeah, okay. Nah, I mean, I guess I get it. And that was from, I guess, my background knowledge of certain Asian cultures and how they view darker skin. And it was like, okay, well, I understand that's how your parents think. And it wasn't until I got older that I was like, wait a minute, hold the, and I mean, it stayed with me. Like, that's how messed up it did in my head. Like, it was subconsciously staying with me, that later on I was like, why did I let that person get that off? Like, I wish my response had been, one, who gives your parents the right to determine what race is wrong or right? Who are they to say that because of my skin color, I'm not worth bringing into their home? I wish I would have said something along the lines of, well, who says I even want to be invited into your home? Who says I even want the blessing of your parents? Who are they to validate who I am? And so that one stuck with me, just because in my own viewpoint of not only other cultures, but my own, I was like, oh, that's another, common thing that you hear, is that, nobody wants to bring home the black person. Or as I got older, I should say that it became one of those things where I was like, racism in all forms is wrong. But I really, really dislike when other minority groups find it appropriate to look down. Like, they're like, I'm a minority, but at least I'm not that minority. Like, that shit bothers the hell out of me. I do want to bring up, though, there is a new movie that I'm super excited to check out. And I think y'all should be excited to check it out, too, because it's so far and few between that we get original work, truly original work, that has a strong voice and a strong look.
You talked to your dad recently?
Why?
Give us a call.
So where did you appear from? Oklahoma? I've never been anywhere but here.
Because you can tell from the trailer that there's something special here. I'm just really excited to check this out. So sharing that all with you. Oh, there's a name right there. Katie O'Brien. Yeah. Really excited to check this out. This just looks dope. It was like Ed Harris. Is it Ed Harris is the other actor? And Dave Franco. It's got some solid members in cast. Okay. What are we talking about today, though? Like, what do y'all want to talk about? I thought for a second about talking about, was it Akira Toriyama? It's so weird because this individual was huge. Yeah, Akira Toriyama was huge in terms of my childhood and watching Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and being a huge fan of it as a kid. So in some aspects, having a pretty big impact on my childhood, but never actually knowing who the individual was behind the series, not knowing the name, what he looked like. Like, that's crazy to me that people have that impact. And we should do a video on that as well. People have had an impact on us that we literally know nothing about. He would be one of those individuals. But then something else had popped up to me, and it kind of went hand in hand with what we were discussing last week when I used the analogy of it sometimes feels like in this country and probably in the world, we are more caught up with looking into our neighbor's yard and telling them how they should manage it rather than just being concerned with what our yard looks like. And so that's going to take me to this case here, or this recent update in this case, where is it? It's here. Nope, it's not here. Okay, removing the politics out of this, because again, this is supposed to be an open forum for anybody, either side, to just come and talk about it. Individuals will no longer get to handpick their judges because of a new policy update. And this policy update was by, I have the article here. It's been a lot of finding sites to give me the answers for things that I want. Here we go. Yeah, plaintiffs hoping to reshape federal and state policies will no longer be allowed to choose which judge will hear their case, at least in federal court. A new policy announced Tuesday by the Judicial Conference of the United States, a government body that sets policy for federal courts, targets rules in some federal courts that the conference said risk creating an appearance of judge shopping. At least in the short term, this policy is a massive victory for the Biden. Nope, I don't care about that part. So basically, this conference has released policy that says that individuals cannot pick the judge that they want to hear their case, because that was creating individuals to only go to certain judges who lean politically their way. That way they could get a ruling in favor of what they believed. And this was especially detrimental because the ruling, being federal, wasn't just for the state, it was for everybody. It was a sweeping ruling. And then, like, I guess they were saying something like right here, Texas Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton, for example, has been very aggressive in bringing lawsuits that challenge Biden administration policies before right-wing judges, who have then issued sweeping nationwide orders blocking those policies, sometimes on highly dubious grounds that are reversed months later by the Supreme Court. I bring this up because there was a judge in particular, perfect, right underneath, Matthew Kacsmaryk, an obscure advocate on the Christian right appointed by former President Donald Trump to the Northern District of Texas. Believe he's a judge in Amarillo, Texas. He, back in 2023, had basically issued a ruling stating that mifepristone, which again, I'm sorry if I butcher these words. I had the little voice up to tell me how to say the word, and I just still have not been, I don't think I've been saying it right. How to say it. See if we can say it together.
Mifepristone.
Mifepristone. I promise you I'm not going to say that right.
Mifepristone.
Mifepristone. So the judge issued this policy that basically said that this was going to be an unapproved drug, not just in Texas, but nationwide, which meant a drug that was being used to, I think it was along with, misoprostone is what I was reading. Yeah, misoprostone or something like that. Those two drugs in combination led to an abortion. And I'd even looked up how it works because I was curious, like, what the science behind this drug was. Here it is. It's used in a regimen together with misoprostol to end a pregnancy that is less than 70 days in duration. It works by stopping the supply of hormones that maintains the interior of the uterus. Without these hormones, the uterus cannot support the pregnancy and the contents of the uterus are expelled. So this individual issues this ruling to try and stop this drug from being an approved drug, so facing legal consequences for using this drug, especially illegally or illicitly. And then another judge in Washington that I believe was appointed by President Obama, which I only mention that because they mentioned that President Trump had appointed this individual in Amarillo, Texas. But the same day that judge, I think within like an hour, released another ruling stating that the FDA does not have to remove that drug. It is not on the unapproved list. And then basically the FDA can maintain the status quo. This all, I think, got tied up and was sent over to the U.S. District of Appeals, like Fifth Circuit or something like that. And they also maintained that although they agree, I think it's a three-judge panel. They also agreed that the government and the FDA was wrong in terms, and let's not just like speak out of our asses here. Yeah, a three-judge panel of the conservative U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit said Food and Drug Administration decisions to allow the drug mifepristone to be taken later in pregnancy, be mailed directly to patients, and be prescribed by a medical professional other than a doctor were not lawful. So they agreed with Kacsmaryk. However, so everything remains the status quo for now, is basically what the District Court of Appeals has said until it gets to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to make the final ruling on whether or not this drug is going to be unapproved or not. All that's great. I'm not here to be a legal scholar and break down what that means. I'm more concerned with something that I had brought up in the first video. And let me preface this all by saying this. I believe when it comes to abortion, there are only two people whose opinion should matter. And those are the same two people that engaged in the act of having a baby. Now, of course, there are other circumstances where it might just be one person involved in the act of having a baby. But in my own personal belief, right, when two people have a baby, then those two people should make the decision of whether or not they should keep the baby. Not the government, not your best friend, not your parents, not a judge in Amarillo, Texas. It doesn't make sense to me that so many people are interested in what other people do with their babies. And I'm going to start there. I have other pieces of this argument, but let's start here. Why does it matter so much what your neighbor is doing when it comes to having a baby or not having a baby? It literally, if you believe that it is important to bring life into this world, no matter what, then that's great. That is exactly what you should do for yourself and your family. You should have as many babies as you want. What's also great is we live in a country where you can literally have as many babies as you want and get paid for it. There's a benefit to doing that. But that's not enough for some people. Some people feel like not only do they want to have as many babies as they want, but they want to go and make sure that if you are having sex and something is conceived, that you also have a baby and the person next to you has it. Like, it's weird that we are so concerned with whether our neighbors have babies or not. And I'm gonna do my best to like just not get upset or irate, but it goes back to why I think some people, for a host of reasons, are so anti-religion, because the same people that claim everybody should have a baby and regardless of the circumstances, they should carry a fetus. I think that some people refer to it as an unborn human, or that's how the judge referred to it because of what some far right group, anti-abortionist group, has labeled it. And again, I don't judge anybody. You can use whatever term you want. A word is a word. But they're so consumed with making sure that that is the case, they then use the basis that religion is why, that they're told by their God or whatever they believe in that every life is sacred and it must be brought to fruition, or at least tried to be brought to fruition or lost, quote unquote, naturally. And if you're concerned, right, because if your basis is to be a good Christian or to be a good Catholic or to be a good whatever that religion is, you have to ensure that a baby is brought to the best of your ability onto this earth, then do that for your family and your children. Won't you still get to go to heaven if that's what you believe? If you've done everything to support your family and following that doctrine, then you've got nothing to worry about. You will not be burning in a lake underground somewhere. But that's not where people stop at. They then take it to mean I have a duty to also monitor what everybody else is doing and make sure that they also bring a baby to life. And that's where it gets weird to me. I could believe in abortion. I could not believe in abortion. It doesn't matter. That's my own personal preference. And what's great about that is that I live in a country where I should be able to make that decision for myself. But you have a judge like Carson Merrick, who not only has his own beliefs and instills that in his own household, but is now trying to instill it for everybody else. This individual is the definition of somebody who's looking into everybody else's yard. Like, this is the worst hallway pass monitor in the world. This is big government, which is so crazy, right? Because isn't the far right supposed to be anti-government? But this is so I'm walking down the street with my billy club waiting to beat somebody over the head because they're not following the rules. And that mentality has never made sense to me at all. Because nobody is saying that you can't have this thing. If somebody were to go to that individual, I'm sure he's Amarillo, Texas, on the right side. I'm sure he owns guns. If somebody were to go over there and tell him that guns statistically are the number one leading cause of people under the age of 18. So in order to combat that, we're taking your guns. He would throw a fit, barricade his house, and basically have a knockout, drag out fight for his right to own guns, because the Constitution says that he has the right to bear arms. does that not apply then to the right to do what you want with your body? How is it that you believe that you can fight for your right to own guns, but not the right for somebody else to make the decision what they do with their own body? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, oh, I'm legally allowed to make my own decisions. I fight on the ground of democracy where I have a choice in what it is I want to do. But then when that same thing should apply over here, you look over there and go, well, you do, but also like, I don't do that though. You have the right to do what you want, but also don't do that. And I don't think this just, I don't want to focus on just the one judge, right? Like, this just goes into the whole broader thing of when the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and how many people were out in the streets celebrating, saying that like we won. And it's just like, what did you win? Why is it so important that everybody else believes what you want to believe? It feels like at some point, everybody's trying to find a way to exert power. And it's not enough to just have power in your own household or over your own faculties or over your own family. Everybody wants to exert power over everyone else. And I will never, ever understand that sentiment. I've never in my life wanted to make somebody believe the things that I believe or do the things that I want to do. Like, I am so much more happier when I'm alongside other people who think like I think or have similar taste. But that doesn't mean that if they didn't, I would hate them and then force them to convert to the way that I think. And you can't have a conversation with anybody, or so far I haven't found somebody that you can have a conversation with that can answer why it's so important to them that the next person do what they do. This goes into LGBTQIA plus. Is that where we're at now, right now? I might have said that wrong. Okay, this is why we have Google, right? What is it right now? LGBTQIA plus. Okay, I was right. Individuals who choose to live under that lifestyle. Again, you can be pro LGBTQIA plus. You can be anti. What you do with your sexual organs in the privacy of your bedroom literally affects nobody else but you and that person. So why are so many other individuals so excited to peer through the blinds and watch what you do and then critique what you do and tell you who you should do it with? It doesn't make, like, you at some point you have to sit back and go, oh, I'm the biggest narcissist on the planet. I think everything revolves around me and should operate the way that I think. There's something up here that has to be screwed loose for you to think that people are wrong if they don't want to live like you live. Some people don't like liver. You don't go around and make people eat liver. I'm getting too excited because the whole point, like I said, was to have an open discussion. And I feel like if you get too excited, then people are like, well, I'm not going to talk to you about my views because you're not going to hear me. And I, like I said, I'm open to hear from people who are pro-life. I personally think that's fine if you are. I don't give a damn. I don't care if you're pro-life. I don't care if you're pro-abortion or pro-choice is what the alternative is. What I care about is living in a world where both groups can agree to disagree. You can still live your life and you can still live your life and everybody can keep moving forward, right? It's crazy that, and you're hearing this a lot more now, we're on a rock floating through space by ourselves having to pay bills. Well, I think it's the same thing. We are on a rock floating through space worried about what the next microscopic thing beside us is doing. Don't we have enough shit in our own lives to worry about? Like, is there not enough? Like, this has to be a problem for individuals who have too much money. This might be too simple an example, but this would be like cooking a Sunday dinner meal, your favorite Sunday dinner meal, whether it's pasta or turkey, meatloaf. You've gathered your family around and you're all smiling at each other and you're laughing and you're talking about your day and how excited you are for whatever movie you're going to watch that night. And then just as you get up and you start clearing the table and moving things to the kitchen, You tell your family, hold on, I'll be right back. And you go outside and feel the brisk autumn air and go, oof, storm's coming in. And you walk down your driveway and you take a right. You walk up the sidewalk a little bit. See a nice blue house that's right next door to your house. And you walk up their little nicely ornate path that they've created. You don't even knock on the door. You just open the door. Just open the door right up. And then you walk to their living room. And you see them at their dinner table. And you get pissed because they're having seafood. And you say, you're going to change this. Or next week, I'm going to come with the law. And I'm going to mandate that every Sunday, you all have meatloaf like my family did. That way, we all go to heaven. All right, well, look, that's it. Oh, you know what? Here's something else I want to talk about. I'm done with this particular topic. Please, 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 feel free to discuss it with me in the comment sections. Let me know your thoughts. Help me understand why it matters what somebody else does with their body. Again, you can disagree with me strongly, vehemently. The only rule is you can only hate towards me. I can take it. I'm fine. And if we lose more subscribers on this, well, I mean, I got to be honest, man. I don't know what else to tell you. That's a really weird thing to unsubscribe about. Again, if the content sucks, that's one thing. But if you're just upset because you disagree, I mean, you're as bad as the people you hate. I don't know if I mentioned this before. The reason my last video, and this is the last thing, I promise. The reason my last video had a block screen on it, or a black screen that said, thanks Netflix, was because, and I didn't know this was a thing until that I uploaded that video. I had Vince Staples' Netflix show on the television, and Netflix blocked it. It recognized that the show was playing in the background. There was no audio in the background. Might have been slightly out of focus, but somehow the software still recognized that it was playing in the background and blocked my entire video. And the only way I could get it through was to block the video with the black screen. That's upsetting to me for a host of reasons. One of them being, I mean, I don't want to get into it fully right now, but just the fact that there's software out there now that can analyze every pixel of our video and determine what's in it. And then I'm sure there was no human interaction. There was no human at some point that's like, this is what the AI or the software says it's found. Yay, approve. Nay, deny. No, the software automatically was like, this thing is flagged based off these parameters, blocked. That's scary to me because, and I'm not saying this is what happens, but in a hypothetical scenario, individuals who own these platforms now have software and they can input things that says, don't show this video, don't promote this video, don't get this video exposure because it fits into one of these categories. And you would have no idea what those categories are, but just know that every pixel, your face structure, what you say, how you act, what you're doing is being analyzed behind the scenes, and they're putting it in one of these categories, and they can dictate what happens to your video. So that was really weird to me. I didn't like seeing that. I think the one thing I do regret is, and I want to take this back, is when I was saying that you have to have a screw loose or something wrong to think like that. Because again, if I'm standing on the basis of everybody should be entitled to their own opinion, then I can't say that a group that disagrees with me or sees opposite of me has something wrong with them. I just don't understand it. So let me correct that. I do want to add that. I don't ever want to come from a place of bashing anybody, because that's what we're all so quick to do right now. And I don't think that's helpful. We have to talk to each other more. And that's all I really want to do. Like I said, get to know you while also you getting to know me. What is episode 3 going to be about? I don't know. I'll see you all there.